Students from Alabama A&M, students from Oakwood University, religious leaders, and politicians came together today to fight against voter suppression. They all say many students at Alabama A&M and Oakwood University registered to vote last month, but were then put on the inactive voter list.
This is not something that is acceptable, and is something that continues to happen in America, specifically to young Black people.
Madison County Probate Judge Tommy Ragland also spoke at the media conference about his efforts to correct this problem. He says he's reached out to Linda Hairston, the chairman of the Madison County Board of Registrars, as well as Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill. The NAACP is also working to restore voting rights to these young voters. This story may have you thinking, how do I make sure I have not been put on the inactive voter list? Well, there's an easy way to check. All you have to do is go to myinfo.alabamavotes.gov. Click on registration information and then select your county. Type in your name and then your birthday. And this is what comes out. You can see where it says active. If that line says inactive, you have a problem. So what do you do now, 5 days out from the election, if you do find out you have an inactive voter status? Tom Ryan, the former Madison County Democratic Party chair, joins us now to give us a little bit of insight. Tom, thanks for being with us today.
Sure thing.
What's the first step people need to do if they do go online and they find out their status is listed as inactive?
Well, they should call the Board of Registrars and talk to them and find out what the problem is and try to cure that before they go to vote Tuesday. Otherwise, they'll have to fill out another form when they go to vote Tuesday. If they fail to fill out the form or provide the proper information, they won't be allowed to vote a regular ballot. They'll have to vote a provisional ballot. And then, unless they cure whatever the problem is by Friday of that week, the voting week, then their ballot will not be counted.
Okay, so these students can go and vote next Tuesday, but they could be counted as provisional, or would they be counted as a regular ballot?
If they're just inactive, that means they are a registered voter, but they're listed as inactive, and that means there's some small technical problem with their registration, such as their address or something. So then if they provide that information when they go to vote, then they can vote a regular ballot. If they don't provide that information on Tuesday, they can vote a provisional ballot, and then they will only have until Friday to cure whatever the problem was.
So, Tom, this is eerily familiar to me. A couple of years ago, this very same thing happened at Alabama A&M regarding students who were listed as inactive. How does something like this happen, where these students have been put on this inactive status when they clearly went ahead and registered to vote just last month?
It's probably several problems. One could be just the person filling out the voter registration form wrong. They haven't provided all the information. They haven't listed it correctly. They've transposed a number on their social security number or their birth date. Or part of the problem is with Alabama A&M, as I understand it, they don't have individual mailboxes for the students. It's just a giant pool of the mail, and then the students have to come by and check, or they have to respond to an email from the postmaster out there to come pick up their mail. So when they register to vote, the Secretary of State will send out a notice to them saying, here's your registration information and where you vote. If they don't pick that up, then it's going to be sent back to to Montgomery, and then Montgomery, the Secretary of State's office, will then put you on the inactive status because you didn't pick up your form.
So a mail sorting issue, it sounds like.
Exactly.
We've seen this sort of issue all over the country, people being purged from voter rolls and other techniques for voter suppression. Is this affecting any group in particular?
As the young man said earlier, it's primarily younger people, students, and people of color. That's who it's affecting. And this is a plan, okay? They can put all the gloss they want on it about they're trying to protect voter integrity and the integrity of elections. But look and see who it's happening to. It's happening to the people who generally vote Democratic, and these new laws that are being put on are primarily being put on by Republicans to suppress the vote, to keep certain groups of people from voting because they know they're not going to be voting for Republicans.
So it's a plan. If they go to the polls and they do, go ahead and vote, but it is on a provisional ballot, does that count in every instance?
If you're a registered voter and you're inactive, and you don't provide the information on the polling day, then you have until Friday to fix the problem.
Okay.
If you don't, your ballot won't be counted. If you're not even registered, you can vote a provisional ballot, but it will not be counted because you're not a registered voter. You can't cure that before the Friday.
Very good.
Because the voting cutoff, the registration cuts off a couple weeks before the actual vote.
That was pretty thorough. Thank you, Tom Ryan, for joining us.
You're
Again, if you want to find out whether you are active or inactive on the voter rolls, go to myinfo.alabamavotes.gov. Go ahead and click on registration information, select your county, type in your name, then your birthday, and then you will find out if you are active or inactive. Again, many thanks, Tom.